since I always feel like I kind of dress like a 12-year-old boy in baggy clothes, it isn't a character that isn't me, it's just another part of me. But there is a part of me that feels a little bit like the kid who's playing dress up. Wow. Look at that eye makeup and hair. Gosh, so I got General Hospital a month before my 19th birthday. So I think I'm essentially 19 years old, super dolled up, heavily duty made up. I just was so excited for all of it. But if I'm looking at this photo, I think I was probably a little terrified also.
I don't know if they told you, but we're going to devote our lead article and cover to the Miss Star Eyes campaign.
I think a little bit more of the look was somewhat part of the makeup style, and everything was very much kind of came out of what they did on the show, as opposed to this being actually a more personal expression, shall we say. Well, I know by the hair that this has to be post-Ghost or around that time. I met with Jerry Zucker, the director, and the first time we met, I had very long hair. The second time we met, I had kind of cut it. I was a first-time mother. And so the story with the hair is that I went on a vacation with my then husband and new baby to Paris. And I had been carrying around a picture in my wallet of Isabella Rossellini with this gorgeous short haircut for years, waiting for the opportunity. And I don't know if it was hormonal post, pregnancy. And I literally walked down the corner from where we were staying in Paris, speaking no French, pulled out this picture and said, "Can I have this?" And then when I showed up, I was, offered Ghost and then showed up without them being aware with this Pixie haircut.
It's like I think about you every minute. It's like I can still feel you.
I think that there was some serious panic, some serious shit hitting the fan, as they would say. But in the end, they really did come around to see it. I was an artist, a ceramicist and all of that, and it kind of fit. It wasn't an intentional thing to shock them. I think I really just needed a change. At this point, I don't ever like to say never, because you never know. But I have grown quite attached to my hair from a certain point of having had no hair. Now this, I can't quite remember what I was attending. It looks like some kind of press event. I do remember the hair. My hair had been blonde, I believe, because I was shooting a film, The Butcher's Wife, and I had the short hair from Ghost, and so it was growing out, and we wore a wig, but we used my hair. And this was a very fun time for me to have blonde hair. Do you know what it is? I think on that path of trying to figure out who you are, what works, what doesn't work, it's this great time of experimenting and discovery. What I realized very quickly is that dyeing your own hair blonde trashes it. That's what I found out. But it was fun while I had it. Yeah, the coat I think was because I'm always cold. The dress, I can't remember if it was vintage or if in fact it may have been Dolce. I think that Francesca Cholot did my makeup. Look at how smooth that skin is. Oh, this is Indecent Proposal, and this is a very iconic Thierry Mugler dress that I did hear was the most copied dress of the year. I mean, I only heard about it after the fact. The dress was such an important part of the story.
Why don't you put it on? It suits you.
It's that kind of moment she's, looking at something that she knows she could never afford.
I can't afford it.
Then the whole question of does everything have a price comes in, what the whole movie story is. And the dress really was such an important part of the story. Like it needed to be something unique that stood out, that was memorable. And this was just an incredible find. I love this dress. I did keep this dress, and at the moment, I am in search of getting it returned, since I gave it to Planet Hollywood at one point to have as part of their memorabilia. I don't know where I would wear it, but most definitely I would. Because that's the thing about something that, you know, this is something that I think would really hold up. It would stand the test of time. Great design does. This was a big moment, one, because it was the first time we had taken our children to anything that was a public event. And clearly I have a shaved head, hence why the event of why I've grown much more attached to my hair as it is today. It's very sweet, this picture, with the girls in their matching outfits. What's so interesting is when I was shooting G.I. Jane, they didn't want to shave their head, but they wanted to have short haircuts to be like me. And why we decided to let them come is because Rumor played my daughter in the film. And so it was a shared moment across the board. Yeah, it was sweet. And I love it. We've got two out-of-the-box things. Bruce was shooting the Luc Besson film, The Fifth Element. And so he's blonde, and I had a shaved head. Every time I see these, all I can look at is going, oh my God, I'm so big. Probably a good 40 pounds bigger than I am now. And I was very tan. I don't know. It wasn't my most fashionable moment. Okay, so this was, I think, my very first Met Ball, and I attended with Donna Karan, who has been a longtime friend. And what's amazing about this picture is look at what the setup is for the carpet. Look at what the steps are in comparison to what it's evolved into. Like, it was still so kind of simple and somewhat, you know, pure. Not that it's unpure now, but it just has grown into something so big. And maybe there was a lot less pressure going. It was not so much time put in. It was, even if I remember correctly, it was kind of, I just happened to be in New York and was coming, and Donna said, oh, you should come with me. And we whipped a dress, you know, together. And it was less pressure in this moment. This was 2010. I was presenting at the Oscars, and I am wearing a gorgeous Versace dress. I mean, I think when you have something to attend on this scale, it gives you permission to kind of dream bigger. In this case, because I was just presenting, it's also, you know, really wanting to find what you feel is appropriate for your participation in the moment that you feel beautiful in. And this was a very special dress, very feminine, very soft, the color, everything. Okay, this is another Met Ball. This was last year, and this was an extraordinary dress by Harris Reed that was custom made for me, you know, based on a piece in his collection. And the embroidery, it was something like 40,000 hours, but the material that was used was actually, I think, a silk wallpaper that was, I think, from the 50s, and that had to be taken first and the silk separated from the paper that it was on to then be mounted on silk fabric to then be made into this extraordinary masterpiece. And the wings did come off because we didn't realize until after I was in it that I wouldn't be able to actually even move my legs to go upstairs. I was in a Sprinter van being driven there with them opening up the back. So we had this sweet young girl who was in this moving, rocking, you know, Sprinter van, opening it up and sewing while I was desperately trying to hold on because I couldn't sit. It's extremely special. Not just, I mean, knowing not just the cost that goes into this, but the investment of their time, their passion, and I feel actually a great responsibility of wanting to really do my part. My part in it is just this showing up, walking the carpet, but I'm just the representative for all of us involved. And so it's really a tremendous honor. And as I've just had this whole past season of having so many custom pieces, I just feel so much gratitude at being in a position where that happens. And it's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun. Brad Goreski found this. He's done quite a lot that we've looked at, but this piece that was for the Swans, the feud, Capote versus the Swans. And it's amazing that this is a Balmain that he found. And I was worried that maybe it would be too much, but it was an incredible way to kind of kick off the year. For me, it's always about just finding, to the best of your ability, the right balance on every level. Like, if it's not my premiere, if I'm there supporting someone else, I don't want to do something that's too big, that's too much focus on me. In this case, it's an ensemble, so I was a little nervous. So I did send it to Ryan Murphy and say, is this okay? It's pretty major. Yeah, it was super fun. This was the LA premiere with my beautiful, beloved daughters for The Substance, which was a really big moment because they had not seen the film. I wanted them to see it with an audience since it was such an intense experience that I felt like it would be a more uplifting, more fun, considering the ride that you go on. And really just how sweet to have them all there to support me. Part of the, fashion in general, to me, is about our personal creative expression, and it changes, it evolves. And I think because we have so much hyper-examination of it, that in a way we've lost our sense of play sometimes because there feels like there's so much pressure. And I love seeing them find their own individual expression. And I don't always like what they choose. They don't always like what I choose, but I love that it is right for them. So this was my Golden Globes dress. And, so much, if you look at the dress that I wore to the premiere, we really tried to find ways to kind of give a nod to the film. This obviously has kind of what was like broken reflective, blood and mirrors, and there was a sense of kind of aspect of that. And this also had, the asymmetric kind of element of it with the kind of piece down the middle. So a lot of the things that we chose during this time was really just, in reflection of the movie, the characters in some subtle way. But this was a gorgeous, Armani did a beautiful custom dress that, fit like a glove. Oh, wow. I really wasn't expecting that. Do you know, I was extremely relaxed and I had really no expectations. I did not think that I was going to win. I didn't, I was in the category of music and comedy. It didn't feel like, I didn't know really where that would land. So I was not actually prepared. And so it was really mind-blowing and extraordinary night. I was deeply shocked, humbled, awed, and just overwhelmed with gratitude. Obviously, this was the Oscars this year, and this was another Armani. And Brad really, kept saying it was the completion of the story and Elizabeth Sparkle. And so thereby we did sparkles. I had been fighting this cold. I'd had a cold all this last week. And so in all honesty, I was just hoping to look good and hope that snot didn't run down my face. It took some major effort is all I will say, and to have the tissues handy. But, this was a spectacular dress and once again, fit like a glove. The wonderful thing, Brad and I, have worked together since 2008. And so not only do we have an incredible working dynamic, like he knows me so well, he knows what I like, but I think on a personal level, we also have so much fun and there's so much joy in our connection that it really feels like I'm being given a privilege to be able to have that as something that is part of our work because it's such a joy. The main thing is, I think, as we have more chronological time on, is that I think there's a greater sense of comfort in knowing who we are, what we're comfortable in. It also gives you a greater confidence in your foundation of where to push, where to, maybe try without compromising a sense of who you are.